Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Bundi, aka the Wellness Doctor. For those of you who are already subscribed, thank you so much for returning to my channel and for all the love and support. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. I make content on mental health and wellness, and please, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. It's free, it costs nothing to subscribe. So basically what I would like to talk about today is something very important. But before I get into that, this video is in partnership with a brand called Inuka. So Inuka is a wellness brand, and what they do is they provide online coaching. So they are able to align you with a professional coach, and just through your phone, guys, through your phone, they can be able to do some one-on-one coaching. For as little as 600 shillings, they can give you a session for 1 hour with a professional coach. So guys, if you're really interested in this, I'll put details in the description box below on how to contact Inuka. But without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Wellness Doctor, Dr. Bundi, and in this space we like to talk about everything that has to do with mental health and wellness. And so today I thought I'd just have a very intimate conversation with you guys about grief. And this is because everybody has lost somebody, yeah? Everybody has lost a loved one. It could be a parent, a sibling, a friend, even a baby. There are people who are having miscarriages. And so I think it's safe to say every single person who's watching this has lost somebody. And I wanted to have a conversation about the things they don't tell you about grief. Things people don't talk about as much. And I'm coming from the angle of having lost somebody. In 2015, I lost my dad. And for me, that was a very tough moment for me. It was a very tough moment. And if it was not for therapy, I don't know if I would have made it out. And especially after this pandemic, people have lost their loved ones in a way that's so different, so sudden. Even the burial process has become so sudden, like people don't even have enough time to mourn. And so that's why I felt like this conversation is much needed. So the title of this video is 5 Things They Don't Tell You About Grief. And I know it's a difficult topic. It might become really uncomfortable, but please hang in there because, it might help you. It might help someone who's out there. The first thing is, and I'll read because I had written these down because I don't want to be derailed by my emotions. So yeah, the first thing is there is no right way to grieve. There is no right way to grieve. And in psychology and psychiatry, we're normally told there are 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, and then finally acceptance, And I realized that they don't follow that order. They don't follow that order. In fact, the funny thing is that sometimes you might think you've reached acceptance. Years later, you think, I've accepted this thing, I'm good. Then out of nowhere, something will happen and you will just go back to that bargaining phase. You're like, man, but he's really not dead. He can't be dead. He can't be dead. So there's no right way. There's no marking scheme. There is no marking scheme. There's no right way to do it. There's no right way to say that when you hear the news, you must cry. In fact, for me, I'm one of those very strange people who, when I hear the news that somebody has passed away, I never cry. It's so weird. I don't cry, even for days. It can take me like 3-4 days to finally cry, yeah? And that's not to say that there's something wrong with me, no. It's just that there's no right way to do it, guys. There's no right way to do it. The second thing is grief comes with a lot of anger. It comes with a lot of anger. And for me, out of all those stages, I think anger is the one that comes back the most. Any small thing will make you angry. And you know what? Sometimes you even get angry at the person who died. Sometimes you're like, why did you even leave? Why did you leave us? Yeah? And guys, that's normal. That's normal. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Sometimes you even get angry at yourself. It could be, you might feel like, man, I never told this person I loved them. You get angry at yourself. I never forgave this person, right? Because perhaps they died and you maybe had some beef with them, you had some argument. Sometimes you have anger towards yourself, right? It's normal. Sometimes you have anger towards other people, especially guys who come to comfort you. Sometimes you can just be so upset, like, why are people coming to tell me pole? Why are people coming to pray? You know those services they have in your house? I mean, people are coming to comfort you, but you're feeling angry at them. That's normal. Don't worry. Anger is normal, right? And the third thing that they don't tell you is that grief is constant and it's exhausting. It doesn't stop. You never stop grieving. And that's not to say that you're always going to be sad, you're always going to be crying, you know, every time you're breaking down. Sometimes you just learn to live with it. Like you're living, you're going to work, you're kawaida, you're doing your things, but you're grieving. It's constant, it doesn't leave you. And that's usually the reason why I say that we've got to seek therapy when we've lost someone, or just talk to somebody, because if you don't talk about it, you end up getting so weary. You can even end up getting depressed, okay? And number 4 is that something they don't tell you about grief is people might say some really inappropriate things. People might say some really inappropriate things after someone has died. You know, guys will say stuff like, you know, those generic things like time heals all wounds. And even worse, people might say things like, you know what, maybe it's for the best. People might say awkward things like, you know what, we'll all die. Please be gracious to people, because even them, they don't know what to tell you. They really don't know what to tell you. And I know it's not about them, but let's be gracious, because sometimes there are no even words, there are no right words to say to somebody who's lost someone, okay? And my message to you who is going to console somebody, if you're going to console somebody, kama unaenda matanga, don't feel pressure to give a speech or to talk or to say the right thing. Just being there is enough. Yeah, just sit there with the person. You can just sit there, watch Netflix, or just sit there and say nothing. Just sit there, hug them. Don't feel pressure to say something, because in that pressure, that's when you say the wrong thing, all right? And lastly, grief comes with a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiety. And what do I mean? You start feeling like, so for me personally, I started to constantly worry about my mom. And that's because I've already lost one parent. So I started being like, so protective over my mom. If she's traveling somewhere, I'm like, umefika, you know, or even if I don't express it to her in my head, I'm like, God, please let mom arrive safely. I pray, you know, like she doesn't get into an accident. Like I became so anxious. And I've seen this also in some patients who, like if they've lost a loved one due to an illness, they get so anxious such that any small illness, they're running to the hospital and they're like, doc, just check me everywhere. You know, I don't want to die, just check me. So it comes with a lot of anxiety. And if you don't speak to someone about this, it can actually develop into full-blown anxiety. And I guess the moral of this video is to tell you who is feeling any of these things that I've mentioned, or any other symptoms or feelings that you're having, it's normal until it's not. It's normal until it's not. So, I mean, if you're grieving, why don't you just talk to somebody? Talk to a grief counselor, and I'll link down below a grief counselor that you can talk to, so that you don't get to the point where it's more than grief. Now you're leaning towards depression, you're leaning towards PTSD or anxiety, okay? But I just also wanted to tell you that it gets better with time. I know it sounds like such a cliche thing to say, but for me, it's been a couple of years and I'm not where I was. So hang in there and take it a step at a time. So please let me know in the comment section if anything that I've been talking about has resonated with you. If you've got any questions, I'd love to answer them. And as always, I'm sending you love and I'm sending you light.